I'm Dix Astro Coach, and welcome to my YouTube channel, and welcome to your astrological overview for the month of October 2021. And after my short overview, there will be something about all of your individual signs and how it's going to affect you this month. And remember, if you know your ascendant, that's your rising sign, as well as obviously your sun sign, then check that out too. And I would like to say at this point that for those of you that have recently subscribed to my YouTube channel, thank you so much and welcome to new people. And if you would like to subscribe, I'd love that too. So thank you in advance. And also, the individual zodiac signs are time-stamped. That will be in the description box underneath the video, as will my website, should you want to have a one-to-one with me for astro coaching or for life coaching. Okay, right, that's the business out the way. Let's now move on to the astrological energies for October. So, 3 steps back, 3 steps forward, or 3 steps forward, 3 steps back. What do I mean with this? Well, I think October plans to be a rather interesting month of gains countered by losses, and then losses countered by gains. But that may not be a bad thing. The positives for this month are that Mercury will come out of retrograde. That's on the 18th. I'll talk a bit about that in a minute. And we have 3 of our big outer boys, my big boys as I call them, moving direct this month. Now, in a sense, the most important one of these moving forward is on the 6th, when Pluto in Capricorn moves direct. Pluto has been retrograde since April the 27th. And Pluto is our planet of transformation, death, rebirth, and it's in Capricorn, which is about tradition, structure, governments. Can you see where I'm going with this? Because in a sense, it's not until next year we'll feel the full effects of the transformative changes that Pluto is really pushing for. Because next year, Pluto for all of us will be what we call moving into new and uncharted territories. So why is that? Well, what it means is that because Pluto is the slowest moving planet that we're aware of, apart from Aries, in our solar system, so it takes a long time. I can't remember the exact figure, it's something like 247 years to go around the sun. So it takes a long time. And because of that, it's like when it moves into uncharted territory in our lifetime, it's like we're experiencing it for the first time. So one can almost see Pluto as being a bit of a pioneer and bringing out a kind of pioneering way of looking at life for a better way with regards to the fact it's in Capricorn, about government, structure, official organizations, and it's about a better way to govern our planet and our own lives. So I think next year is when we will see more of this kind of quite life-changing energy, stripping down to the core, the harsh reality of what really has to change. But this month we could see the beginnings of an important ending for someone in power. Not necessarily, but that's just an energy that I feel is around. But let's see what else is happening with this energy that we've got at the moment, because Saturn has also been retrograde in Aquarius for a while. And Saturn finally turns direct on October the 11th. Now, Saturn co-rules Aquarius with Uranus. And of course, Saturn has been making this harsh square to Uranus in Taurus most of the year. At the moment, they're very wide, so they're not making too much of that energy at the moment. But towards the end of the year, we will see that building up again. because Saturn moving direct has got to go through its what we call shadow phase before it gets again to its new territory in Aquarius on this particular trip around the sun. So I do feel with Saturn moving direct, it's going to free up more of the restrictions that we've all been facing and bringing a sense of a return to normality with minimal boundaries. So the sun, of course, this month, because I'll come on to Jupiter a little bit later because that also goes direct. But the sun, of course, this month is in the balanced sign, harmonious sign of Libra. So there will be a sense of calmer and more rational behavior and fairness. So that's the energy we tend to get more at this time of year. And it's interesting with Libra because Libra is also a cardinal sign, so it is actually action-oriented. So, you know, Libras can be quite determined about the goals they wish to reach. You know, sometimes I think people think, you know, Librans are just kind of keeping the balance, but they're not. I mean, they are keeping the balance, but they're also very organized about where they're going. Now, Mars is in the sign of Libra this month. In the first week or so, Mars is flirting in what I might say is a very provocative way with the sun. So we've got this sun energy of, you know, light, health, the soul, life in general, and Mars that is strident, that is cutting, that is, you know, directional. So I think with these strident energies abounding, we're going to see people really wanting to see answers to as yet unanswered questions. We have a new moon in Libra on the 6th. And of course, Mars is also, because it's in Libra, is in this mix. So it may be a very good time to initiate new things that require a lot of energy. So that's one way to look at it. But also we've got to look at the fact that Mercury is retrograde and is also making quite an interesting angle to this new moon. So it suggests angry communications and information that could just get blown up out of all proportion. So just be mindful of that with anything you want to initiate. Try and see outside the box with that new moon energy. Now, Mercury, as I mentioned, our planet of communication, moves direct on the 18th. And at this point, we will see a smoothing of troubled waters and a bit more clarity in our dealings with others. Also on the 18th, we've got Jupiter in Aquarius. Jupiter has been moving retrograde, and Jupiter is now going to be moving direct again on the same day as Mercury going direct. So that actually is going to really, I think we're just going to feel a much like uplifting of energies and a sense of freedom, even in speech, which, you know, let's face it, has seen so much dissent as various factions fight to get their message across and believed. You know, the last few years have seen so much warring, especially on social media, between groups that vehemently, you know, defend their rights and beliefs as the truth. And, you know, the Libra energy is bringing a chance to allow a better balance and acceptance of each other. And in a sense, each year in Libra season, we are given this opportunity to accept each other's differences and respect these differences. I avoid as much as I can to get into debates on social media. Sometimes it's very difficult not to, but I do try and put across you know, that I respect others' differences and hopefully they respect mine. But this really highlights the fact that we need to come together collectively with our differences, using the energies of both Saturn and Jupiter moving forwards in Aquarius to connect on a higher level and recognize our unity of spirit. You know, the saying, united we stand and divided we fall, was never more of a truth than it is today. It's worth thinking about. This month's full moon is in Aries on the 20th of October, and it will bring dramatic and much needed change. And what I feel with this is if we don't let go of what doesn't serve us willingly, then Pluto, that's in a hard square, that's a really challenging aspect to this full moon, will strip it away forcefully. So on a collective level, changes in government structures may well occur. And on a personal level, there may be changes in the balance of power within and also within relationships, as we try and sense what is truly appropriate to take forward with us into our future. So this month's, is this month 3 steps forward and 3 steps back, as I said at the beginning? Or is it that we take those steps back and finally understand a truth that we've been seeking? Now, the sun moves into Scorpio on the 24th, but I'll talk more about that in November's astrology. But will it bring a darker energy into the equation? We will have to wait and see. So I'm going to move on now to your individual zodiac signs. And for each sign, I'll be looking at how the forward motion of Pluto, Saturn, and Jupiter may affect you personally. And also I'm looking at the effects of the Mercury retrograde, which is until the 18th, plus a look at both the new and the full moons. So sit back, enjoy, find your sign, or if you know lots of people under lots of different signs, you can see what they're up to too. Okay, thank you so much for joining me for this part of the video, and enjoy your zodiac signs. Hi, Aries, and let's have a look at what the month of October is going to bring for you. Firstly, I want to talk actually about the 6th of October, because it's really quite an interesting day. The reason being, Pluto, that is in Capricorn, in the area of your chart connected with your career, goes direct that day. But it coincides with the new moon in Libra in your house of significant relationships that occurs a little bit earlier. So there's a lot of interesting energy on the 6th. Now, this new moon is also opposite Chiron, who is our wounded healer. And he, of course, is in your house, Aries. The other interesting thing is about retrograde Mercury. Retrograde Mercury is in a wide conjunction to this new moon, but is squared by Pluto in Capricorn, that of course is going to go direct. And my sense is you have some things that you really want to say. And it seems to be a mix of career, relationships, but you really want to get your point across. And I do feel that the energy of this Pluto going direct is going to give you that extra oomph to say it how it is. So that's the first thing that I've noticed in your chart for October. The second thing, which is also really helpful for you, because we're all going to feel the energy is speeding up a bit this month. Thank God for that, because it's all been a little bit, you know, kind of dragging its heels, the energy. But Saturn in Aquarius is also going direct, and that's on the 11th. Now, Saturn's in this part of your chart connected with your deep wishes and dreams. It's also the area of your chart which is connected with kind of higher thinking and with larger groups of people. So if you're planning on doing something with a larger group, or maybe it's something to do with your work that you want to launch something or move up a rung on the sort of the ladder of success, then actually Saturn going direct is giving you a bit of a green light. And that's also helped on the 18th, when Mercury, that has been retrograde in your 7th house of significant relationship, also goes direct. So that the first part of October, you may have felt a little bit with significant relationships that you're kind of like marking time. You're just kind of waiting for something to shift, for something to happen. And I think on the 18th, or from the 18th, you're going to see things freeing up a bit. Interestingly, it coincides with Jupiter in Aquarius also going direct. So I feel that energy is really going to see things moving forward. I do think there's also a tendency for you at the moment to be quite expressive in what you want to get across to people. It feels like if things have been holding you back, or you're not getting where you want to, or what you want, or the kind of answer you need from people, you're really going to push for it this month. And let's just have a look before we finish at the full moon, which of course is in your sign Aries on the 20th. And it's conjunct Aries. Now, this is really quite an interesting full moon, because Aries is the goddess of strife and discord. So whenever Aries is around, and Aries is a very, very slow moving planet, so you will have Aries in your sign throughout your whole life. Is this a good thing or a bad thing? Well, Aries actually, I think, gives you a little bit of an ability to think outside the box and to just throw in the bait when things need to be stirred up. So this full moon looks like you are really pushing for some kind of completion on something. And I do think it's something to do with a significant relationship, because of course the sun is in your 7th house Libra and it's conjunct Mars. Now that's quite interesting, because Mars, of course, is about energy, action. It can be sexuality, but it can also be arguments, and it kind of coincides with that feeling of discord that Aries is bringing into the mix. It feels like something needs to be resolved, Aries. And I do feel October, with this full moon, will see you getting more to the point where you're able to resolve an issue. And also, we have to look at Pluto still in the mix, because Pluto is squaring this full moon, and of course the Sun, Mars in Libra. So what Pluto is doing is really urging everyone towards transformation. So the potential this month for you, Aries, is for huge transformation, not only in your personal life, but also in your career. So you really have an action-packed month, Aries. On that note, I wish you well, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Hi, Taurus, and welcome to your astrological look at the month of October. I'm going to talk first about the 6th of October. We have two important events that day. One is the new moon, and I'll come to that in a minute. The second is Pluto going direct. Now, Pluto is this massive energy, this transformational energy, this planet of life, death, rebirth. It's an extraordinary planet. And with it going direct in the area of your chart that's connected with knowledge and higher learning, I really do feel that if there have been subjects that you're very passionate about, that you've been spending a lot of time looking into, you are just going to shift up a level. You are just going to have so much more energy about them. And you're going to start seeing things in a much crisper and clearer way. And that's really going to be very helpful for you. And it coincides with the new moon in Libra, which is in the area of your chart that is to do with your day-to-day routine. So there does feel as if there's this energy around with this Libra new moon of you finding a better balance, as if you've been really struggling for quite a while, quite a few months, to get the kind of right routine. Maybe you through the pandemic started to work from home and you actually like it. And maybe now you're actually getting to the point where you've really kind of structured into your day a routine that works for you. Now, this new moon is interesting because it's conjunct Mars. So I think we're going to see you with much more energy about getting fit, amongst other things, and making sure that you are taking really good care of yourself, because we know Taurus nature does like the pantry and the fridge, and you may have gained extra pounds through being more at home. This new moon is also opposite Chiron, which is in Aries in your 12th house. Now, Chiron is the wounded healer, and the 12th house is very much about this kind of inner you. And I think the fact that the new moon brings in this part shows that perhaps you're going to have more of an awakening and understanding of actually how you need to treat yourself psychologically, you know, perhaps be kinder to yourself. Perhaps you've been quite hard on yourself. And I think this new moon's giving you that opportunity to just kind of be kinder to you. And Mercury, that is retrograde at this point, is in a wide conjunction to the new moon, but is squared by Pluto. So Mercury, again, in this part of your chart, Libra, which is to do with day-to-day routine, squared by Pluto. I think things are going to be coming into your life that mean you have to completely restructure your day again and change it all round. It could be super interesting, actually, Taurus. But let's move on to the 11th, because on the 11th, Saturn, that's in Aquarius, in your 10th house of career, goes direct. So this is super exciting, because if things have been dragging their heels a bit or slowing you down, this is really going to free things up, and you're going to actually start being much clearer about the structures you use in your day-to-day work and your career path, where you want to go and how you want it to unfold, so that by the 18th, when Jupiter in this part of your chart also goes direct, you are going to be firing on all cylinders. This is going to be a busy month for you, Taurus. October, super busy. And the interesting thing also on the 18th is that apart from Jupiter going direct, Mercury at last stops its retrograde phase and stands still to go into its direct phase. So from the 18th, I think that the first part of the month, you're really, really getting a handle on how you want things to be organized in your life. And from the 18th, it's really going to speed up and really go in a good direction. Now, let's just also, before I finish, look at the full moon, which this month is in Aries on the 20th. Now, it's in your 12th house, which is very much about feeling sometimes confined, restricted, held back. But I think with it being a full moon, you're going to see a kind of completion to a part of you, or a part of something you've been dealing with on an inner level. You will sort of feel that frees up. So only you can know what that's about. But it's interesting because this full moon is conjunct Aries, which of course is also in this part of your chart. Now, Aries is the goddess of strife and discord. And that both the full moon and Aries are in opposition to Mars and the Sun that are conjunct in Libra. So we've got the Libran energy trying to get things in balance, and Mars being a little bit too, keeping the seesaw moving up and down a little bit too much. And Aries in Aries up here conjunct this full moon is really kind of saying, do you know what it's saying? Please don't be harsh on yourself, because Aries can be quite cutting, and there could be a part of you that is also not always very kind to yourself. So just bear that in mind, Taurus. The other thing is that Pluto, now direct, does square both the full moon and the Sun and Mars conjunct in Libra. So watch out for that too, because it's like you're being urged to transform, but please allow it to happen because you are going with it willingly, and don't allow it to be manifested in events that force you to kind of transform. So I hope that kind of adds a little bit of clarity to what's happening to you in October, Taurus. But I do wish you a good month, and I guess the clocks will be going back at the end of October, so longer nights and shorter days. Okay, well, Taurus, I'll see you next time. Bye for now. Hi, Gemini. Welcome to your astrological look at the month of October. First of all, I'm going to talk about October the 6th. You might want to make a note of it on your calendar, because the 6th, not only does it have our new moon in Libra, which is in the area of your chart that is connected with fun, creativity, romantic partners, partying, but it also is the day when Pluto, who's been in Capricorn retrograde for some time now, goes direct. Now this is super exciting because it's in the area of your chart that is very much connected with transformation and, in a sense, tearing down and getting rid of what no longer serves you. So this is a super energy to finally have it going forward. And because this area of your chart can be about other people's money and joint investments, it may just be that you are looking to realize some money, get the piggy bank a bit fuller. Maybe you're selling something. And I think this Pluto going direct is going to really change things there so that things will start to sort of move forward. And if we look again at this new moon in Libra energy, it is on the 6th, and the new moon is conjunct Mars in Libra. So this is quite a vibrant, exciting, active new moon. So I really feel you're going to be full of energy, firing on all cylinders and wanting to get things going. And that even though you've got Chiron in Aries, our wounded healer, which is in that part of your chart in opposition to the new moon, which is to do with hopes and dreams and desires, that Chiron, I think, is just saying that you've learnt from past mistakes and you're willing to try and do things in a different way. So actually quite encouraging energy. But the only thing you have to watch out for is that Pluto, that of course is going direct that day, is in a hard angle, which is a square, to Mercury in Libra. Now Mercury is still retrograde at that point and doesn't go direct until the 18th. But I'll talk about that in a minute, because I also want to talk about Saturn that is going direct in Aquarius on the 11th. And this is the part of your chart to do with travel. It can also be truth and knowledge and higher learning. And Jupiter also goes direct in this part of your chart on the 18th. So you're really getting green lights from both these planets, as we all are, to perhaps start looking at whether you can just travel further afield. You know, I think you've got quite itchy feet, Gemini. you have a very active mind, and you like your mind to be occupied, and you flit from thing to thing. And this energy is really telling me that Saturn and Jupiter going direct is really going to help you to find new things, study new things, and travel to pastures new. So let's also look at the fact that on the 18th, Mercury goes direct in your 5th house of creativity. So this is also this other helpful energy that is going to make things really speed up. Let's also just look quickly at the full moon, because the full moon is in Aries this month, and it's in the 11th house, which is the area of your chart connected with hopes and dreams. And it's on the 20th, conjunct Aries. Aries is a very interesting planet. Aries is the goddess of strife and discord. And I'm just wondering if there's something that you've felt quite angst about in terms of something you've wanted to do, but just couldn't get all the bits in place to actually sort of launch this endeavor. And even though Aries and the moon are opposite, the sun conjunct Mars in Libra, which is the 5th house, even though we've got that opposition, I think the energy of Mars is really urging you to learn from past mistakes and look at how you can actually use this kind of almost like aggressive type of energy in an assertive way to achieve your dreams. We have to also remember with this full moon that we have also got Pluto in the 8th house, now direct, but Pluto is squaring the full moon, and of course consequently squaring the sun conjunct Mars. Now, this just puts that edge onto it that if you're not prepared to make the changes that are really necessary for you to achieve your dreams, it may be that you're still trying to hold on to certain things, certain ways of life that really don't serve you anymore, Gemini. This full moon is giving you the heads up and saying, let it go. Let the new come in. Leave the past where it belongs. Because the energy of the Aries full moon is about new things, initiating. Remember, Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. So with that thought in mind, thank you so much for joining me, Gemini. I wish you a great month ahead, and I will see you next time. Bye for now. Hi, Cancer. Welcome to your astrology for October. First of all, I'm going to look at the 6th of October, because this has two quite interesting astrological events. And it might be a day to mark in your calendar and keep an eye out. One event is the new moon. Well, we have a new moon every month, as you know, but this particular new moon is on the same day as Pluto, our planet of transformation, goes direct. So let's just unpack this a bit. First of all, Pluto is in Capricorn and has been going back and forwards for a very long time in Capricorn. And this is the part of your chart to do with your close personal relationships. So you will have seen changes all over the place in the last few years. People coming, people going, significant changes, drama, but it will certainly have been an active area of your life. Some good, some bad, but really kind of quite challenging at times. The fact that it's going direct in the last few degrees of Capricorn, because it is going to finally move out of Capricorn and into Aquarius in 2024. So you've still got a little bit longer, but it's moving direct. So you're going to notice a kind of freeing up of things, especially as it coincides with this new moon energy in Libra in the area of your chart that's connected with your home and family on the 6th. So these two energies on the same day are really super interesting, because the new moon brings new things. The new moon brings new opportunities. And even though this new moon is conjunct Mars in Libra, I think this is going to see you using the positive qualities of Mars to be quite energized about making changes in your home space, in where you're living, to make changes to your living arrangements, get them better, make them feel more feng shuied, whatever it is that you need to do to really bring in some nice energies into your home life. And also, Mercury in Libra, of course, is retrograde at this point, and it's still, it's in a kind of wide conjunction with this new moon. But Mercury is being squared with the new moon by Pluto, that is just going direct. So it's really interesting, because there's like, everything wants to kind of start moving forward. It's like an engine that you're trying to start the engine, and it sort of keeps turning over, and it just about catches and then it dies again. And you might have to wait a couple of days for that engine to really fully take off, but it will. Okay, let's also look at what else is going on. Your 8th house is Aquarius, and this is the part of your chart that is to do with transformation. It's also joint finances, other people's money. It can also be banks and institutions and anything of that kind of nature. You've got both Saturn and Jupiter here, and they've been retrograde. But the good news is that on the 11th, Saturn goes direct, and on the 18th, so does Jupiter. So they're going to be giving a green light for finance in terms of what you share with someone else, or maybe some money you are waiting to be kind of realized is going to be materializing, especially when Jupiter goes direct on the 18th, because that coincides also with Mercury going direct in your 4th house of home and family, out of its retrograde phase, and it's going to at last be moving forward, which is great, because I just feel now the engine is really ticking over nicely and you can start cruising. So they are good energies for you, Cancer. But Cancer, let's see what else is going on, because with this new moon that I was talking about, we've also got the full moon, of course, in its opposite sign of Aries, and that's going to be on the 20th, and it's in the part of your chart to do with your work. So this is your career, and it's a full moon. Well, full moons are great because they can bring completion. Perhaps there's some area of your career you've been working on that you're bringing to some kind of completion. Now, this full moon is conjunct an interesting planet called Aries. It's kind of known as a minor planet, but the goddess of whom the name is given to the planet is the goddess of strife and discord. So I think there's something you've been working on which has really been causing you headaches and sleepless nights. And I think the full moon is going to either see that you have an aha moment and see how to sort it out in a much better way. But I do feel it's actually going to make it easier for you to see the way forward. We have to remember, of course, that we have got the Sun conjunct Mars in Libra in opposition to this. And Pluto, still, of course, remember, in your 7th house of significant relationships, making a hard angle to both of them. So there may be close partners or a business partner who doesn't perhaps like what you're suggesting with this full moon in Aries. But you know what, Cancer, stick to your guns. You know what feels right. You go with that intuition, Cancer, because remember, that first thought is the right thought. Okay, Cancer, I wish you a great October, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye. Bye for now. Hi, Leo. Welcome to the astrology for you for October. Let's see what's going on, because the 6th is a very important day. So mark that in your calendar. We have 2 important astrological events happening that day. First of all, we have the new moon in Libra. Okay, we have a new moon every month, but this one coincides with not only a Mercury retrograde in the same sign, and that's also, it's all in Libra, which is the part of your chart to do with communication, amongst other things. And the same day, Pluto, that has been retrograde in Capricorn, goes direct. Now, Pluto is in the part of your chart that is connected with your day-to-day routine. And Pluto has really been putting you through the sort of the mill, if you like, kind of, you know, through the ringer, kind of to try and get you to get rid of old, outworn ways of doing things and bring in new stuff, bring in new things, and to transform the way that you work. Your working life has really undergone huge changes with this energy there. So with Pluto going direct at this time, what it means is we've got this kind of, like the brakes are off, and you're really starting to see much clearer your whole vision of how your working life can be and your day-to-day routine is. You really have a much clearer vision of how it can work. And coinciding with this new moon energy, which is for you all about communication, and very fair and balanced communication, is really, really super cool. Now, this new moon in Libra, as I said, is conjunct Mars. Now, Mars is actually, I think, going to give you a lot of assertive qualities to the way you communicate, which can't be a bad thing. And this new moon is also opposite Chiron, which is known as our wounded healer, in Aries, which is in the 9th house, which is the part of your chart connected with, apart from long distance travel, inner travel, but also to do with knowledge and higher learning and just your kind of your whole educational base. And Chiron, it can be a little bit like an Achilles heel. There's some aspect for you of your knowledge and your truth that if people criticize it, you really don't like it. And actually, I think what you do is you go away and you really search hard for evidence to back up whatever it is that you're talking about. So this new moon energy, I do feel, is giving you a little bit of a green light, but you have got to watch out for Pluto that is making a hard angle, that's a square, to retrograde Mercury that is also in this sign. So retrograde Mercury, Pluto, I just think that it's just not time. There are things that you need to initiate and to put in writing, so to speak. But Mercury is just saying, just mark time a bit more. Really collect all your evidence or all the stuff that you want to write about or you want to put across, you want to communicate. Be very clear about that. Mercury will go direct on the 18th, and then it will really free things up for you, and you'll see the kind of the wheels of action starting to move forward with various projects that you've got that involve the spoken or the written word. But let's also look at what else is going on, because also in your 7th house of significant relationships, one-to-one partnerships, which is Aquarius, we have, of course, both Saturn, our planet of restriction. It can also mean putting down roots with regard to relationships and cementing something, securing something. It can also be feeling a bit confined in a relationship. But you've also got Jupiter there. And both these planets are going to start going direct this month. Saturn goes direct on the 11th. So you will see things starting to kind of click into place and move forward a bit with regard to close one-to-one relationships. If things have been a bit difficult or it's been difficult to get hold of people, it's just going to ease up. And Jupiter, that is also here, goes direct on the 18th. Now it's interesting because that's also the day that Mercury ends its retrograde phase and goes direct. So I do feel Jupiter's going to be bringing you some interesting opportunities. And if you're single and looking, then I think this Jupiter direct at this point could bring that in at some point. It may not be right now in October, but it could come in the near future. Now I say this because it's also interesting that when a planet is in its sort of last degrees of a sign, it's like it's gone through the sign back and forwards a bit and taught us what we need to learn from its presence there. It's shown us the energy that we can use in this area. And as it's leaving, it will often leave us with a kind of a bonus or a gift. And for you, Leo, I think it's leaving you with the opportunity of a new love, if you're single, a new opportunity, a new friendship, a new business partner, but there'll certainly be something, I think, fruitful that comes out of Jupiter in your chart. You may not actually see that till next year, but that energy is around. So let's see what else is going on, because we've also got the full moon in Aries, which again it's on the 20th, and it's in your house of travel and again knowledge and higher learning. Now this full moon is conjunct Aries, and Aries is our goddess of strife and discord. What are you finding so hard to get going? Is there something that you've really been trying to get going, working on, and it just causes you angst, or people criticize it, or people are jealous of what you're trying to do, so you're having to deal with all this other sort of negative energy that comes at you? Well, I think this full moon may see you bringing some sort of closure to a particular situation that really does not serve you. And because it's opposite the Sun conjunct Mars in Libra, then I really feel that the Mars energy there is giving you the assertiveness, the courage to say it how it is and walk your talk kindly, because it's Libra. So, you know, you may be being not so much Miss or Mr. Nice Guy anymore, but you will be actually being firm. So the only other thing with that full moon is that Pluto does square it. So Pluto, of course, is now direct, went direct on the 6th, so it's well and truly direct by the time the full moon comes on the 20th. And Pluto, again, really is going to completely, it feels like it's going to transform the way you've been doing things with regard to maybe your social media or your writing. And it's a bit challenging, but there are certain things, ways of doing things to do with communication that you've got to let go of and move on and clear the ground for new and better ways to come in, which will serve you much better. There we go, Leo. So I wish you a great month ahead, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now. Hi, Virgo. Welcome to your astrological look at the month of October. And let's start with October the 6th. Mark it in your calendar, because there are two significant astrological events happening this day. And one is that we have the new moon. Okay, we often get a new moon, or we get one every month. Why is this one special? Well, it's in Libra. Not that that makes it any better or worse. It makes a nice balanced new moon. but it's in your second house of finance. So it's a nice energy to have there. You know, there could be some opportunities to make some more money or fill up the piggy bank a bit. It's also conjunct Mars, and Mars, of course, is, you know, in terms of finance, I would say Mars is like when they talk about in the markets being bearish or bullish. Bullish, Mars is definitely bullish. Mars goes for it. Mars goes and sort of, you know, makes that investment, buys that stock or whatever it is. The other interesting thing that happens this day is that Pluto, that is in your fifth house of fun, creativity, romantic partners, finally goes direct after a long retrograde spell here in Capricorn. So this energy is interesting because I wonder, what occurred to me is I don't think you often think about spending money on something that is healing for the soul, like a beautiful piece of art, a sculpture, a painting. Now, why I say this is because this new moon is opposite Chiron, which is our wounded healer, and that's in Aries in your 8th house of transformation, other people's money and investments. Now, Chiron is almost like our Achilles heel. But you know what? Sometimes it's really good to do something to take a risk, to heal things in us, you know, emotions, feelings that need to be soothed by beauty. The beauty of a Libran new moon. And I think that's what this Libra new moon is offering you. And even though Pluto, that is going direct in the 5th house of creativity and could be like buying a work of art, Pluto is making a hard aspect to retrograde Mercury. Now, what I think this means is that if you hum and ha about it too much, you'll miss your opportunity. So just bear that in mind if you are thinking of investing in something that maybe at other times your particular character sees as something a bit frivolous. Oh, come on, Virgo, break out and have some fun. So let's move on to what's going on in your 6th house, because this is the part of your chart which is Aquarius, and it's about your day-to-day routine. It's also about service to others and health. So we've got both Saturn and Jupiter going retrograde here, and they've been retrograde for a while. So they've been asking you to look at health appointments that need to be remade, to just tweak the details in your day-to-day routine, to look at better ways to perhaps use the internet or your tech equipment. Maybe you've needed to sort of upgrade it and you want to hold on to what, you know, to your dinosaur, but actually it's just not really cutting it anymore, Virgo. And Saturn is going direct on the 11th. So that shifts something. And then Jupiter goes direct on the 18th. And that coincides with the same day that Mercury goes direct in your house of finance. Well, I think if there is something that you would like to add to your kind of technical home base, then Mercury going direct in your house of finance makes you see how you can actually free up the funds to make this possible. And Jupiter may even bring in an unexpected source of income that helps you upgrade your whole system. Interesting. We will see. Okay, let's see what else is going on for you, because we do have a full moon in your 8th house, Aries, which is the house of, as I said, other people's money, investments, and transformation. And that's on the 20th. Now, it's conjunct this dwarf planet that we call Aries. Aries is the goddess of strife and discord. What is causing you strife in regard to maybe joint finances or investments where you're not quite sure what you should do, or something that you own that you think maybe I should sell it and get the money for it. What's going on for you around that? Because I think this full moon is asking you to really look at it, especially as Pluto, that is now direct, remember, is actually in the 5th house of creativity, is making a square to both the Sun and Mars, who are in Libra, in your house of finance. So Mars is giving you the energy to look at all of this, but it's also, of course, squaring the full moon conjunct Aries. I think you need to do a little bit of soul searching, Virgo. I think you really need to think about what serves you best. And are you holding yourself back when in fact just a few little changes would make all the difference? And I think somewhere, if you could shift your attitude about finance, and maybe you're kind of focused on keeping it all here because it might go and there won't be enough. Try and focus it on, I am abundant, there is enough. There will always be enough. Because you know what, Virgos? Virgos are the sign that are super clever. And they really are good with finance because they're good with figures. So they're good with budgeting. So don't forget that, Virgo, because you do tend to worry. And you can be anxious and have sleepless nights worrying about something you've just bought and you shouldn't have done it. So stop it, Virgo. I really feel the energy of October is inviting you to relax a bit and enjoy the fact that the energies are speeding up a bit this month. And it's just going to be a much more open and interesting month, Virgo. Virgo, thank you so much for joining me. I wish you a great month, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now. Hi Libra, welcome to your astrology for the month of October. On the 6th, mark it in your diary because we have a new moon in your sign. And it's always lovely when we get a new moon in our sign because it's like a breath of fresh air. It gives us fresh opportunities to initiate new things. And for you, it's no different. And I think this new moon is going to be making you feel much more in balance and vibrant. Also, what's interesting is that it's conjunct Mars in your sign. Now, Mars, of course, is the planet of energy and assertion, and it can also be quite, it can bring arguments and things. But I think in this instance, I feel that Mars is giving you that energy and assertiveness to be quite kind of forceful, but in a very balanced way about how you want people to see you. The interesting thing with this new moon is that it's opposite Chiron in your 7th house of significant relationship, which is Aries, which is our wounded healer. So I also want to mention, before I just interpret this, that retrograde Mercury is also in your sign, Libra, and so is widely conjunct this new moon. This is really interesting because I think if there's been anything that you've been over-personalizing or taking to heart with regard to perhaps difficult discussions you've had with a partner, and that could be a business partner too, because Chiron, the wounded healer, it's like you have to find the way to pour oil over troubled waters, to actually kind of ease the way. And Libra, you are very good at mediating. So if there's been difficulty with a partner, use this new moon energy to start again. Now, it could well be a family member. I say this because on the same day as the new moon, Pluto moves direct. And that's in the area of your chart, Capricorn, which is the part of your chart to do with your home, also to do with family members. And this is the same date, the 6th of October. Pluto moving direct, I think, sees something transforming with a relationship to do with a family member. It could also be that you make a decision or you're transforming your living space into something that suits you much better for now. Now, with the new moon, Pluto is making quite a hard angle, a difficult square to retrograde Mercury in your sign, Libra. But I think that's just saying, don't overthink this, Libra. Just be patient, because by the time we get the full moon on the 20th, things will have shifted quite considerably. But before we get to that energy, we need to look at what's going in your 5th house, which is the area of your chart connected with creativity and with romance and fun. And you've got both transiting Saturn and Jupiter here. Now, they've been retrograde. Saturn is our planet of rules, boundaries, it's kind of restrictions. So, we know that we've had lots of restrictions around, say, socializing. So I think that's been quite challenging for you, Libra. And the good news is that Saturn is going direct on the 11th. So I think this is going to bring some more green lights for you to actually start planning and putting some structure into those plans you have to see your circle of friends. The other interesting news is that Jupiter, of course, has been retrograde here. Jupiter, our planet of abundance, luck, opportunity. Jupiter is also going direct on the same day that Mercury in your sign also goes direct, which is the 18th. So I think at that point, along with the abundance of opportunity that Jupiter will be bringing to your social life and creativity, Mercury going direct is going to free you up so that you're going to feel much more like, oh gosh, what was I ever worrying about? Everything is okay. So I think that's the benefit of the forward motion of Mercury. But by the time we get to the full moon in your 7th house of significant relationships on the 20th, now this is an interesting full moon because I think this is about a partner. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to mean a close partner, but it's somebody who's in your life that is important. And remember, that can also be good friends. It can also be business partners. But this is somebody who I think has found it difficult around you. Their energy has found your energy difficult. And this is about kind of putting that in the past for good. I say this because the full moon in Aries is conjunct Aries, which is a small dwarf planet. Now, Aries is the goddess of strife and discord. So I think there is some element of certain people in your life that always cause you anxiety and always can cause problems. But this full moon is going to see a resolution, certainly around one of those situations. It's offset by the Sun and Mars conjunct in your sign, in opposition. So you're going to be feeling particularly assertive about if there's something that has to end, if it's a friendship or relationship that really doesn't serve you anymore, you will really see this time that it's time to move on. The other interesting energy that we have with this full moon is that Capricorn, of course, or Pluto that's in Capricorn, in your house of home and family, is making a hard, challenging aspect to both the Sun and Mars and to the Moon and Aries. Do we need to worry about this? Pluto's going forwards. And I think that, say this dispute is with a family member, I really do feel that both of you will be able to agree your differences and move on and start afresh. So it doesn't have to end dramatically, okay? It's how we work with this energy. If we really work with the energy in a constructive way. And you've got that constructive energy coming from Saturn in your 5th house, really helping you to be quite creative about how you can sort problems out. So just bear that in mind, Libra. And in the meantime, I wish you a peaceful, happy month, and happy birthday to Librans who are having their birthday this month. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you so much, and bye. Hi, Scorpio. Welcome to your October astrology. Let's see what's happening for you this month. And first of all, I'm going to start with October the 6th, which has 2 rather important astrological events that day. So the 6th is a day you might want to put in your calendar, and also the energy leading up to the 6th and for the week or so beyond it, because this energy doesn't just happen on the day in question. The first thing that happens on that day for you is we have a new moon in Libra. I know we get new moons every month, but this one is in the area of your chart that is connected with the inner you and that part of you that can ruminate on things and overthink. So we need to look at what that's about and unpack it, especially as it coincides that day with Pluto, our planet of transformation, death, rebirth, endings, going direct. So you can see it's a super interesting day. Let's just start looking at the new moon because it's conjunct Mars. So Mars is going to be this part of you that has had enough of everybody's, rubbish, and that you just want things sorted and you just want to be clear about where you're going forward in your life, which is super interesting because I think with the retrograde Mercury still in Libra at this point in this part of your chart, it's like you're going over old ground. You probably keep repeating yourself. If there's a situation in your life that you're trying to resolve, you keep having to repeat yourself, and it's as if the other person has just got their fingers in their ears going la 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 because they don't hear it. So I hope you like the analogy. But what's interesting is that it is a new moon. Now it's opposite Chiron in Aries, in the area of your chart that is connected with day-to-day activity, service to others, and health. Now I think you have to look at whatever this particular situation is that you find yourself in, that you're overthinking. Is it good for your health? How is it serving you? Because Chiron is our wounded healer. It's almost like our Achilles heel. So you just need to bear that in mind with the energy of this new moon. Because I think what's super interesting is that Pluto, going direct this day, in the same part of your chart, Capricorn, that deals with communication. So this is very much a new moon for you about communication, not only with yourself, but with others. But remember, it always starts with the self. Now this Pluto is actually making a hard angle, a square, which is challenging to that retrograde Mercury. And I just think we might see you blowing your top around the energy of this new moon. So just bear that in mind. I've spent a long time on this new moon because I do feel it's important. And when I come to do the live, I will go into it in a bit more depth to bring you more clarity for it. But let's look at what else is going on for you, because it's not all tough and difficult and challenging, because we do have in your 4th house, the area of your chart connected with your home, your family, is Aquarius. And we have both Saturn and Jupiter there. Now they've been retrograde, but Saturn is going direct on the 11th. So that's going to free things up at home. It's just going to feel as if the boundaries are eased a bit, and that you can feel a bit freer in what you're doing with regard to family. And Jupiter also goes direct in this part of your chart on the 18th. So that brings some kind of like a clean sweep and a bit of luck and opportunity into any projects you have going on in the home front. The other interesting thing is that it's the same day as Mercury finally goes direct in your 12th house, Scorpio. So the 18th, again, like the 6th, is quite an important day. And once Mercury goes direct, I think you are going to see things very clearly about you and about how you want others to see you and how you relate to others. So that's really cool. And let's see what else we've got going on, because we've also got this full moon in Aries. So this is in the area of your chart that is connected with day-to-day routine. It can be health, and it's on the 20th. Now, it's conjunct a very interesting dwarf planet called Aries. Now, Aries moves extremely slowly. So you will have had Aries here all through your whole life, and it will be here for the rest of your life. So who is Aries, and why is Aries significant in this particular full moon? Well, Aries was the goddess of strife and discord. So she causes chaos where she moves to. So this, I think, is a full moon of you perhaps showing some Aries qualities and clearing the decks and deciding there are certain things in your life that just have to go. And I think what's super interesting is that Pluto, which of course is now direct, and it's making a hard angle, a challenging angle, to both the full moon and Aries, but also to the Sun conjunct Mars in your 12th house. So there's this sense, I feel, that you really do want to start afresh. Enough is enough. I feel somewhere in your life you want to really make big changes, Scorpio. And the energy this month encourages you to go for it. Okay, thank you so much for joining me for your October astrology. And I wish you well. And I look forward to seeing you next time. And thanks again, and bye for now. Hi, Sagittarius, and welcome to your astrological look at October. The first thing I want to talk about is October the 6th. I've been saying this to all the signs, but it is a particularly important day astrologically because we have two astrological events happening that day, which are quite important. The first is a new moon. Yes, we have new moons every month, but this one coincides also with Pluto moving direct. Now, Pluto is in Capricorn, and this is the area of your chart connected with your finances and your possessions. And Pluto has been here sweeping away the cobwebs, getting you to clear out and get rid of things that really no longer serve you. And Pluto is our planet of transformation. And so on the 6th, Pluto, after a long retrograde, is going direct. Now, this happens to link in with the other event that's happening that day, which is the new moon. So the new moon is actually in Libra, and it's in the part of your chart to do with larger kind of groups of people. It's to do with higher thinking. It's also to do with dreams and goals and wishes and things you would like to bring into sort of fruition, to manifest. And this new moon is conjunct Mars. Now, Mars, of course, is all about energy, action, aggression. So I think you're going to be feeling very energized about setting in place some kind of, you know, like the foundations for a real project, new dream that you have. And this energy is really good to actually look at doing that. The interesting thing, because Pluto is moving direct that day, it is making a hard angle to the new moon in your 11th house. But I think that's supportive because I think it's making you make sure that you don't leave any stone unturned, that you make sure that you check everything before you actually initiate something new. And also, because Pluto at this point is squaring, which is a hard, challenging angle, retrograde Mercury, which is in this part of your chart. So supposing you were doing something that requires a contract, just make sure you read all the fine print. I think it's really important that you don't rush into it. Now, Mercury is going to go direct, and Mercury goes direct on the 18th. So really from the 18th onwards would be a better time to actually sign anything if there are outstanding issues that you need to deal with. But before we get to the 18th, because there's other things going on then as well, we have in your third house of communication, which is Aquarius, we have both Saturn and Jupiter, and they have been retrograde. Saturn on the 11th goes direct. This is going to make it much easier for you to communicate very soundly and with kind of, succinctly. I think, you'll find it easy to put your point across. And the other interesting thing is Jupiter goes direct in the same part of your chart on the 18th, which is the same day that Mercury goes direct. So they're really giving you a green light to forge ahead with anything that involves the written word or social media or content writing, but anything that you've got to do, even if it's negotiating a new contract. From the 18th onwards, the energy is really super helpful for that. And what else have we got? Well, the other thing about the new moon, which I didn't mention, is that Chiron, that is our wounded healer, is in opposition to this new moon. And he's in the part of your chart which is to do with creativity and also to do with fun and partying and friends and romantic partners. But Chiron is, as I said, the wounded healer. And also I think it can be a bit of an Achilles heel for us, so that there seems to be something that has a bit of a sting in its tail. There's something you want to initiate and launch because that's the new moon in your 11th house. And there's something that perhaps you have to sacrifice as well, that you have to let go of. It's like it's difficult to have it all. But let's move on to the full moon because it is in this part of your chart, Aries, and it's on the 20th. And Aries is opposite Libra, which is where we've got the Sun and Mars conjunct. So we've got quite a feisty full moon energy. We've got the Sun, Mars energy, action, aggression, assertion, opposite this full moon in Aries. Aries itself is a very dynamic and innovative sign. It wants to get things done. It's a cardinal sign. It's action. Mars rules Aries. So, it's a super powerful sign. So this is a super powerful full moon for you. I think also because what's super interesting is the full moon is conjunct a minor dwarf planet called Aries. Aries was the goddess of strife and discord. Who or what doesn't like what you're doing? That's what first comes to me. That there's somewhere there is something that doesn't sit right with someone around you. And they're jealous of your success, of your initiative, but there just feels as if this full moon, and maybe it fully comes to your awareness at this point, so that you make some very big decisions about moving on. And the other thing, of course, is that Pluto is actually making a hard square to this full moon. So we've got that energy of transformation, clearing out, clearing the ground for new things to come in the weeks beyond this full moon. So on that note, I'd like to say thank you very much, Sagittarius, for joining me. I hope this was interesting for you. I wish you a great month, certainly a transformative month. And in the meantime, I wish you well, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now. Hi, Capricorn. Welcome to your astrology for October. The 6th of October sees two important astrological events. The first I'll talk about is Pluto in your sign. Pluto, our planet of transformation, beginnings, endings, life, death, all of that kind of energy. And you've had it in your sign for some time now, transforming you, changing you, helping you grow, helping you become a much more the person that you can be. And people have been experiencing that about you. And with it going direct on the 6th, it means that I think you'll feel that you've reached a kind of plateau, and you can feel quite proud of yourself that you've grown a lot, you've achieved a lot, and just a sense of celebration for you, I think, at this time. The other important event happening that day is the new moon that we've got in Libra, and that's in the area of your chart connected with your career and your kind of purpose in life. So this new moon is conjunct Mars. Mars is giving you a lot of assertion and energy to initiate ideas that you've got with your career, to take you on to the next level, to really give you some sort of oomph to get things done and get your career moving well. And this new moon is opposite Chiron, which is our wounded healer, which is in the area of your chart, Aries, that is to do with your home life and also to do with family members. So there's something here about a healing of wounds, and that maybe family members are finally seeing that you've done pretty well, and they're feeling that they can learn from the hard lessons you've put yourself through, Capricorn, and what you're achieving. So there's a nice feeling with this new moon of balance and harmony. Also, what's interesting with this new moon is Mercury is retrograde in this part of your chart. And so I think this has been giving you a chance to go back and just review what you do want from your career, what you want from your soul direction, your soul path, how you want the next few years of your life to unfold. And Mercury actually goes direct on the 18th, but I'll come to that in a minute, because first of all, I want to just go back to Pluto in your first house of Capricorn, because Pluto is making quite a hard angle to this Mercury retrograde in Libra in the area of your chart connected with your working life. And I think that's really very interesting, because Pluto, for me, is a part of you saying you are not going to put up with people who somehow don't walk their talk. And that, I think, is the element of this Mercury retrograde. You want to see people, in a sense, putting money where their mouth is. That's really super important to you, Capricorn. But let's just move on to see what else is going on, because there's also a lot of activity in your second house, Aquarius. This is the part of your chart that is to do with finance, assets, and possessions. And you, of course, have Saturn, your ruler, and Jupiter retrograde here. Well, the good news is that on the 11th, Saturn moves direct. Now, this is really going to be helpful for your finances, because I think you've probably been tightening the belt a bit and just watching it because you're a bit concerned that perhaps too much was going out and not enough coming in. And Saturn going direct will just help you get a better sense of budgeting, and that you won't feel quite so restricted by it, that you'll recognize that you can get a better balance into what's happening in your sort of financial setup. And the other really super good news is that Jupiter in this part of your chart also goes direct on the 18th, on the same day that Mercury goes direct. So you've got this super lucky energy in your house of finance. Now, Jupiter going direct could coincide with a sudden windfall or some unexpected money or money coming back to you that was owed, especially as Mercury retrograde is going direct that day as well. So interesting energy. Now, let's also look at the full moon, which is in Aries, in the part of your chart that is to do with your home and family. Because this full moon on the 20th is conjunct a small dwarf planet called Aries. Now, Aries is an interesting planet because she was the goddess of strife and discord. So I'll put this to you. Who in your sort of family circle has a problem with you? Is there a family member who is jealous of you? Is there a family member who causes you a lot of strife? Because this full moon, I think, brings the opportunity to bring some kind of resolution to that. Maybe because of some firm words from you, because remember we've got the Sun and Mars in Libra still, up in that 10th house, conjunct. So Mars is giving you quite sort of assertive dialogue here. But I think there's someone you need to kind of pull to order or kind of pull up by the shirt sleeves or whatever they call it, the terminology. Shirt collar, that's it. Pull them up by the shirt collar. And also with this full moon, Pluto, of course, in your sign, is making actually quite a hard square to both the full moon conjunct Aries and the Sun Mars. So this is quite interesting mix, and I think you've got to be careful that you don't go in too hard. So try and soften it, because I think with this new sense of confidence and feeling that you've really grown enormously through a lot of very difficult and challenging times, Capricorn, it really is time to just look at the Libran energy that's involved in this full moon and use some diplomacy and kind of mediation and just keep that harmonious balance. But it is an interesting month. It's a transformational month for all of us this month, Capricorn, and you're no different. And how exciting with that Pluto going direct. Well done, Capricorn, you've done well. So with no further ado, I'll say goodbye for now and thank you for coming, and I'll see you next time. Hi, Aquarius. Welcome to your October astrology. Okay, so I'm going to talk first about the 6th of October because there are two rather important astrological events happening this day. One is that we have a new moon in Libra. Yes, we have a new moon every month, but this particular one coincides with it being conjunct Mars, and it also has a wide conjunction to retrograde Mercury. Now, I'll come to that in a minute because I also want to talk about the other important energy for that day, which is happening in your 12th house of Capricorn. Now, this is the part of your chart where you can feel restricted, where you want to break out of. It can be where we suffer from depression. It can be the area of the chart where we do actually seek help from a therapist, for example, or a coach to help us make sense of us. Pluto goes direct that day. Pluto, our planet of transformation, change, is going direct. And I think you are going to have some really quite crisp aha moments as you start to understand yourself in a much fuller way. So this can only be a good energy for you, Aquarius. It's interesting that it does coincide, of course, on the same day, as I said, with the new moon in Libra. and that's in your 9th house, which is all about travel, but it can be travel of the mind as well. So if we take that theme that this is about the inner you and you developing the inner you, then I think this new moon sees you being really searching for things that you can learn from. It may be you start investing in some self-help books, or you attend some workshops, anything to really improve your understanding of you. Because this new moon is conjunct Mars, so there's quite a lot of assertive energy around. And retrograde Mercury is here too. So the retrograde Mercury, I think, in Libra is just giving you a little bit of breathing space. Because sometimes we can take on too much all at once. So the retrograde Mercury is really holding you back and saying, look, just take it one step at a time. It's like you're having these big ideas and you're waking up almost from a sort of a bad dream. And Mercury retrograde is saying, hold on, because remember, it's opposite your 3rd house of communication. And down here we have in Aries, Chiron, which is our wounded healer. Now, this is your Achilles heel in a sense. And this is that part of you that can be quite resistant to change, and that somehow you need to trust that by actually doing the work on yourself, it really will reap huge rewards, because others can help you with this. So I think it's about letting others give you some guidance as well. We don't have to do it all on our own. But sometimes Aquarians can think that they, they're kind of out there on their own. But we are not Aquarius. There are, the rest of us all around you. The interesting thing is that Pluto in your 12th house is squaring Mercury in Libra, that is in this part of your chart connected with higher learning. So Mercury, remember, is retrograde. So there may be, it's just telling you, slow down, just not just yet. Just be aware that you could start initiating or looking for new kind of vehicles that you can use to help you learn about you. That's what this energy is about. I spent a long time on it, but it's because it is an important day, the 6th of October, and I will spend quite a bit of time again on it when I do my live new moon video. But let's go on to what else is happening, because there's so much happening in your 1st house of Aquarius. Because, of course, you're hosting both Saturn and Jupiter. Saturn, of course, is a co-ruler here with Uranus, and Saturn is finally going direct on the 11th. So you, from the 11th, with that energy of the new moon, are really going to feel that things can start moving forward. You're going to feel you've got more structure to you, to what you have to say. People are going to experience you as just almost like a force to be reckoned with, but it means that you're going to be coming across quite solid, so they can't kind of push through you or push you over. So it's nice energy. And also, Aquarius, you've got Jupiter in your sign. This is super, super lucky for you and bringing lots of interesting opportunities. And that is also going direct on the 18th, which interestingly is the same day that Mercury goes direct. So we've got this lovely freeing up of energies from mid-month, and I think there's going to be lucky opportunities coming in for you. I think you're going to be feeling much more positive about the way forward for the 2nd half of October. It's just going to be much, much easier for you. And let's also look at what's going on with our full moon this month, because we have the full moon in Aries. Now, this is the part of your chart that is connected with communication. And you know, Aquarius, you're someone who is quite forceful in your communication. You like to get your point across. You like to be heard. And this full moon is on the 20th. Now, the interesting thing about this full moon is that it's conjunct a minor dwarf planet called Aries. Now, Aries has been squared by retrograde and now direct Pluto in Capricorn in your 12th house for quite some time. So Pluto is also going to be part of this full moon kind of equation. So the full moon, of course, is opposite Libra because it's Aries, and Libra, you'll have the Sun and still conjunct Mars. So let's look at this energy for you. I do feel that with Aries here, who is the goddess of strife and discord, that sometimes you find it difficult to be mindful of how you put yourself across. You might speak before you think. So I think this full moon is giving you, it's like it's shedding light on this side of you and saying, don't be too assertive and aggressive in the way you communicate, especially if you're trying to kind of show someone something or teach someone something. Be a little bit more patient, because that Pluto square to this full moon and to the Sun and Mars up there in your 9th house in Libra is really saying, allow it to transform at its own pace. Allow others to transform at their own pace. Don't push anything. So it's really a full moon about seeing what's happening around you, allowing the changes to unfold at their own speed. Okay, Aquarius, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for listening, and have a great month. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now. Hi Pisces, welcome to your astrology for October. I'm going to start off with talking about October the 6th. Mark this one in your calendar. It's actually quite a super important day astrologically this month, and that's because we have two important astrological events this day. One is the new moon. Yes, I know we get a new moon every month, but this one is a little bit different because of what else is happening that day. First of all, the new moon is in Libra and it's conjunct Mars. Now remember, Mars is our god of energy and assertion and activity. So it's in this part of your chart that is to do with, it can be other people's money, it can be investments or investors, and it can be transformation. It's also beginnings and endings. But why I'm talking a lot about the new moon is that because that day, Pluto in Capricorn, which is in the area of your chart connected with your sort of hopes and dreams and things you'd really like to manifest, goes direct. This is really super helpful because if the brakes have been on with projects that you've been trying to initiate, then from the 6th onwards, and with that new moon energy, it's far more likely that you'll get the green light. So that can't be bad, Pisces. The interesting thing is that because, of course, Pluto is about transformation, it kind of links in with the energy of the 8th house where Libra is for you, because that's also about transformation. So this new moon could really transform something that is dear to your heart that you're trying to launch. But also Pluto is making a hard aspect, that's a square, to retrograde Mercury, also in Libra, in the same part of your chart, to do with transformation. Now that's really interesting because I think that what this new moon energy is saying is that you're getting a glimpse of light at the end of the tunnel with a particular project, but don't go all guns firing straight away. Slow down. I'll tell you why. Because Mercury will go direct mid-month on the 18th. So from then, you don't need to hold back. So that's really super important to kind of bear in mind. So just, it's almost like with this new moon energy, keep it to yourself a bit because you can see how you can change things, but just keep it to yourself a bit. Now, if we just go on to other exciting things that are happening this month, because we've got all these planets finally going direct. So October is just going to feel much more easy and less restrictive. And your 12th house is Aquarius. And this is the part of the chart where really you learn about yourself, Pisces. It's the part of the chart where you can feel quite restricted. It's the part of the chart where you can suffer from depression. And it's also the part of the chart that will benefit most from you working on you. So you've got both transiting Saturn and Jupiter here currently, and they've been retrograde. So it has probably felt as if you've been walking through treacle with regard to trying to get yourself into a good state emotionally and psychologically. The good news is that from the 11th, Saturn goes direct. I think you'll be much more aware of where you set the firm boundaries for others and for yourself. Because remember, Pisces, you're the two fish that go, see, I love doing that, swim in opposite directions, but I just love doing that. But Pisces, you are the fish, so you do tend to have boundaries that go all over the place. Saturn in this part of your chart is really teaching you, really saying, look, I'm giving you this opportunity now while I'm in Aquarius to learn about boundaries, because when I go into your sign, which will be in about 18 months' time, you're really going to have to learn about boundaries. So that energy is really super helpful for you. The other good news is that Jupiter here also goes direct, but on the 18th. Now, Jupiter, I think, is going to bring a real sense of awakening and an aha moments and waking up to ideas and opportunities that you perhaps hadn't even thought of yet. So nice energy that you've got there. And of course, you're going to have Jupiter coming back into your sign next year. And that's going to be super great for you. Really is going to be helpful. So the other interesting thing is that Mercury that's retrograde in Libra, in that part of your chart to do with other people's money or joint assets, goes direct finally also on the 18th, which is interesting. So you've got this new moon with Pluto going direct, and then you've got Saturn goes direct, excuse me, on the 11th. Then we've got Jupiter going direct on the 18th. Mercury the same day goes direct. So this is also going to free things up. That's when you can start actually making it a reality, concretizing what you're trying to put into place, or telling the people that need to know about what you're doing. So you can launch then, you can announce it then. And the only thing you have to watch out for, if we just quickly go back to the new moon, is that it's opposite Chiron, which is our wounded healer. And this is in the part of your chart, Aries, which is to do with your financial situation. And I think this is an area that sometimes you do feel quite wounded in, and sometimes a bit glum about. And I think the fact that the new moon is there, I think it's just telling you to just still be mindful of how you budget for yourself. Because I think things have got better for you, Pisces, over the last few weeks, maybe a couple of months. But you've just got to be a little bit mindful of it and watch out that you don't allow some of that Jupiter extravagance that is so close to coming into your sign to overtake you. Let's look at the full moon that is also in this sign. So this is super helpful. It's an interesting full moon. It's on the 20th. Now, it's conjunct a minor dwarf planet called Aries. Aries is the goddess of strife and discord. So the full moon is conjunct Aries, opposite the Sun and Mars in your 8th house. So what's this about? Well, I think that you are trying to launch something financially. Maybe you want to buy something, maybe you want to buy property. And there may be those around you that are quite envious of the fact that you're in a situation now where you can start investing to accrue. Because I think you've really worked hard, Pisces, to get to a point where you can start to look at putting a little bit aside. Even if it's only a little bit, it doesn't matter how small the amount is. The fact that you're doing it is great. The only caveat with this full moon, isn't there always something, is that Pluto, that of course is in your 12th house, in your 11th house of hopes and wishes, is squaring this full moon and squaring the Sun and Mars, of course, in the 8th. So with that, you've just got to watch that. I just think it's telling you, we know you want to change things. I know you want to transform things. Don't jump the gun. Be mindful of timing. That Saturn going direct now is getting you back in line with that sense of timing that we all need. So trust your gut on this. If there's something you're wanting to launch, something you're wanting to buy, if you're wanting to invest to accrue, just be mindful. Now, I have spent quite a lot of time on this, but it just felt important to get this message through to you, Pisces. So I really wish you well. I wish you a fabulous month, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks for joining me, Pisces. Bye for now.